The Marines of the Halo series have seen a crazy amount of changes since they're first introduced in Combat Evolved, but as per usual with this series, I'm going to dive into not only how they've changed cosmetically, but also how they've changed as far as what they've offered in the Halo sandbox with each Halo game. The next episode of my Evolution of Halo series with the evolution of the Marines. Like I said, the Marines have seen tons of changes cosmetically and what they've offered in the Halo sandbox, and I can't wait to dive into this video with you guys, but right off the bat, I just want to let you guys know that I'll be giving the ODSTs their own video. Excited to dive into this video with you guys, and as you guys might know, these videos take a long time for me to make, so if you like the video, be sure to drop a like on it so that it helps this video reach more Halo fans so they can enjoy it just the same as you guys. But guys, let's dive into the evolution of the Marines. The Marines of the Halo series have had a role to play in every single Halo game. Of course, starting with Halo Combat Evolved, these guys serve as the backbone of the UNSC military, and I've always kind of thought they had a striking resemblance to the Colonial Marines from the Aliens movie, and I always kind of thought that especially the Marines from Halo Combat Evolved drew inspiration from this film. But nonetheless, these guys serve as boots on the ground infantry for the UNSC, and though this game came out in 2001, they actually gave the Marines different AI than what they gave the Covenant. These guys use their overwhelming numbers to surround the enemy and actually practice self-preservation. Once they get into a firing position, they tend to crouch and then take pop shots at their enemies until the enemy is eliminated. It's also not uncommon to see them roll away from incoming fire as well as enemy plasma grenades that are thrown in their direction, while also being able to throw frag grenades themselves. And speaking of the Marines' arsenal in CE, it's actually quite limited. They don't use all the weapons. About 99% of the Marines use the standard assault rifle, and even on dark missions they can use the assault rifle's flashlight, like on Truth and Reconciliation. You will catch them occasionally using sniper rifles, though rare. And you can even catch Marines using Covenant weapons like plasma rifles and needlers, which is just strange to me because they don't even use their own shotguns and rocket launchers. And though not Marines, it's worth mentioning that you can occasionally come across Pillar of Autumn flight staff wielding magnums, which I always thought was fun because they actually gave them the AI to tremble in fear from their lack of combat experience. And finally, you can come across unarmed, wounded Marines, which I promise this will make sense why I mention this later in the video. And now moving on to the vehicles that the Marines can pilot in Halo Combat Evolved, the UNSC actually has two fantastic classic vehicles excluding the Pelican dropship, and those include the Scorpion tank and the fan favorite Warthog. Though the Marines can pilot neither of these. They can actually pilot and drive Covenant vehicles like the Ghost, but can't drive their own vehicles like the Warthog and tank, though it is worth mentioning that they can man the gunner seat of the Warthog and ride passenger, and also sit in the passenger seats of the Scorpion tank itself. And as per usual with this series, everything I've said so far obviously applies to the Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary Marines as well. They perform exactly the same, though they have a brand new coat of paint and resemble very closely to their Halo Reach counterparts. But at the end of the day, the Marines of Halo Combat Evolved are the Marines that started it all, and though they may seem a bit shallow in this first iteration, they see tons of improvements moving forward in the next few sequels. The Marines of Halo 2 saw huge graphical and AI improvements, and it's worth noting that the cosmetic style of the Marines is fantastic in this game, and Bungie thought so too, because it's their style moving forward in the Halo games. We saw new variations like Marines with radar packs on their back, and we also got the introduction of female Marines fighting on the ground in Halo 2. And speaking of fighting, the combat effectiveness of the Marines of Halo 2 saw huge improvements with some brand new abilities, like the simple ability to take cover when in combat against the Covenant, and also the ability to peek out from cover to take shots at their enemies. Halo 2 also saw the introduction of the ability to switch weapons with your Marines, making them even more effective. And it's actually pretty cool that in one mission you fight alongside wounded Marines, and no longer do they just sit around like they did in CE, and it's actually pretty neat that 343 remembered to remaster them as well. The Marines' arsenal has also seen some drastic improvements. Although the assault rifle has been removed, they received the fan favorite battle rifle, the bullet hose SMG, the return of the sniper rifle, and it's also worth mentioning that the Marines of Halo 2 can use all of the UNSC weapons, like the UNSC shotgun, and also the rocket launcher as well, even though they cannot use those weapons in Halo CE. It's also worth mentioning that the Marines of Halo 2 can also mount and use UNSC machine guns for the first time. The Marines of Halo 2 saw huge vehicle improvements as well, like the simple ability to finally be able to pilot UNSC vehicles for the very first time, new vehicles like the Gauss Warthog, and the return of the Scorpion tank. They can finally drive these as well, and it just made the battlefield feel so much more alive when the Marines could actually take the driver's seat and allow you to be on the gunner seat if that's what you wanted to do. And of course, all of this applies to the Halo 2 Anniversary Marine as well. These guys look fantastic, and honestly, this is my favorite cosmetic look for the Marine in any of the Halo games, and I hope that this is like the stencil that they use for the Marines going forward in Halo Infinite. The Marines of Halo 3 saw a huge graphical improvement due to them being on the upgraded Xbox 360 hardware. Cosmetically, they look pretty similar to the Marines of Halo 2, though they wear quite a bit more camouflage and appear in greater numbers than they did in Halo 2, and also the Marines of Halo 3 learned how to melee for the first time. And I promise this is the last time I'll mention this, the Wounded have returned in Halo 3, and you actually fight alongside them quite a bit. And also in that vein, when the Marines die in Halo 3, they actually show battle damage like bloodstains on their clothes and armor. The Marines' arsenal saw some huge improvements in Halo 3 as well, like the return of the fan-favorite assault rifle, yay! We also saw the return of some Halo 2 classics like the fan-favorite battle rifle and SMG. We also saw the return of the rocket launcher, the UNSC shotgun, the sniper rifle, and the brand new Spartan laser, and brand new mounted weapons like the UNSC rocket pod. The Marines of Halo 3 also saw the return of classic UNSC vehicles like the Warthog and the Scorpion tank, but they also got access to some brand new vehicles in Halo 3, like the Scout Warthog, which serves as a ground troop transport of sorts. We also saw the introduction of the UNSC fighter pilot, which is fantastic because the Marines finally received an aircraft in which to finally combat the Covenant Banshees, that being the Hornet. And you can't forget the brand new to Halo 3, the UNSC Mongoose. It's also worth mentioning that the Marines of Halo 3 can pilot the brand new Brute vehicles as well, like the Prowler and the fan-favorite Brute Chopper. And though Marines are featured in the Halo 3 expansion ODST and appear pretty much identical to their Halo 3 counterpart, we did get introduced to the New Mombasa Police Department in this expansion, and though they don't use battle rifles, they use most of the UNSC weapons, and also the brand new ODST weapons as well, like the Silenced Pistol. And since the Brutes serve as the main antagonist of both Halo 3 and ODST, it's not that uncommon to see some custom Marine animations of them being totally brutalized. See what I did there? Brute puns, yay. Well, either way, the Marines of Halo 3 saw huge improvements in graphics and what they offered to the Halo sandbox, and it would continue in Halo Reach. The Marines of Halo Reach saw huge cosmetic changes, and it's honestly one of the biggest changes that they ever saw that I actually really did like. They actually look really tactical, and I always love that they had like all kinds of extra pouches and stuff, but they really just looked more modern, and I thought this was a really interesting direction to take the Marines for Halo Reach. It's similar but different, and I actually really like this visual change that they made for the game. And we also got the brand new Space Marine for the Long Night of Solace mission. The Marines of Halo Reach also have a very wide arsenal once again with the return of the classic assault rifle, though it's more stripped down and I really like the way it looked. We also saw the brand new precision weapon, the DMR, which is like a single shot version of the battle rifle. We saw the return of the sniper rifle as well, along with the rocket launcher, and returning from Halo 3, the Spartan laser, and also the brand new grenade launcher. The Marines of Halo Reach also have no shortage of vehicles, some returning classics and some brand new. Some returning vehicles include the Warthog and the Mongoose, while also seeing some brand new Warthog variants like the Rocket Warthog. We also saw the introduction of the brand new UNSC Falcon, which is without a doubt one of my favorite vehicles in all of Halo. It serves as not only a troop carrier, but also being able to provide fire support for troops on the ground, while also being able to deploy UNSC reinforcements when needed. I love this vehicle and I would love to see it return. It's also worth noting that there's no traditional Scorpion mission where you have the actual Marines with you. Instead, you have ODST, so they are not included on this list. But in the end, the Marines of Halo Reach saw one of the biggest, if not the biggest, cosmetic change in all of the Halo series, and I think it really paid off for them. I love the way these guys look. I love the weapons that they have and all the vehicles that they can use in the sandbox, which just goes to show that you can change things and innovate and people will still enjoy them, unlike the next games on this list. The cosmetic look of the Marines was shaken up once again for Halo 4, though I'm not a huge fan of the changes that they made for the Marines this time. They look as though they're more prepared for a paintball fight in an intergalactic war against the Covenant. Though it's worth mentioning that some Marine variants look better than others, but for the most part, I'm just not a huge fan of the cosmetic look of these guys. The Marines' arsenal in Halo 4 did see some improvements, like the returning of the classic-looking assault rifle, and these weapons sound beefier than they ever have before, which is nice. We saw the return of the DMR, though it's kind of strange because it was supposed to be the precursor to the battle rifle. We also saw the battle rifle, which is why the DMR really doesn't make much sense, as it canonly replaced the DMR. Returning weapons like the sniper, shotgun, and rocket launcher make an appearance alongside new weapons like the saw machine gun and the rail gun. Although it is worth noting that some new weapons like the sticky detonator are not actually used by Marines in gameplay, but instead are reserved for more cinematic moments. It's also worth noting that we saw Marines in Halo 4 use jetpacks for the first time instead of just the ODSTs like in Halo Reach. The Marines of Halo 4 also have no flying vehicles that they can use, which sucks because I love the Hornet and Falcon, but we did see the return of all Warthog variants, the classic, Gauss, and Rocket Warthog from Halo Reach, but we also got the badass brand new Mantis, which turned out to be one of the new things that was added into Halo 4 that I actually like. But at the end of the day, 343 made a ton of changes to the cosmetic look and style of the Marines, and I just wasn't a huge fan of them in Halo 4, but at least the Marines are in the game, unlike Halo 5. Halo 5 has the worst Marines simply because there are no Marines in the Halo 5 campaign and instead are just reserved for the Warzone game mode, and they look awful. They basically look like Halo 4 models, but they come in two variants, action figure blue or action figure red. Their arsenal is also the most limited of any Halo game, exclusively using two weapons, the assault rifle and frag grenades, though they kill themselves with their frag grenades all the time because their AI is simply awful, while also not being able to use any vehicles because they are strictly used to protect the objectives in Warzone. So that's cool, I guess, and I get that this is a multiplayer mode and not supposed to be super immersive, but we've been playing co-op multiplayer with these guys since Halo Combat Evolved in 2001, and those guys were smarter than this. Show how important the Marines are and why they need to be in every single Halo campaign, because they give you perspective on how badass you are as a Spartan, as Master Chief. You look at their shortcomings and it really just shows you where you stand in the world, because the Marines are us as human beings, and you're doing these crazy, amazing things as a Spartan. Just shows you how important you are and shows you your place in the Halo universe, and that's why Marines need to be in every Halo campaign moving forward. So I'm so glad to see in the trailers for Halo Infinite that the Marines are there. But guys, this was the evolution of the Marines. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This video took so long to make, so if you liked it, be sure to drop a like on it so that it helps it reach more Halo fans so that they can enjoy it the same as you guys, and I'd really appreciate it. But guys, that's all I have for this video. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.